Layton here in the liquor library tonight, wanting to talk about a cool experience that I had yesterday night with Old Elk Distillery, based out of Fort Collins, Colorado. And I figured best talk about it over a fresh crack. This is their 8-year Sour Mash Reserve. This is a pick from a group called Shelf Clear Society. I've never had their Sour Mash before, but we're going to use their cool little topper. We're going to try it out. Man, that's got a great nose. Good bourbon notes, a lot of cherry, a lot of vanilla. There's something darker in there, maybe it's gonna sound weird, boysenberry. Definitely a lot of caramel on the finish. Great whiskey, and most of their stuff is. Now, Old Elk has a program, which is how I got to have this cool experience, called the Old Elk Scouts, and they use the Scout program to do a little bit of market research, see what bottles are on the shelves in certain areas, and I was one of probably thousands of people that answered their surveys to see what bottles were available in our area. And I was lucky enough to be selected as one of the few to do a sensory panel. And part of that panel, they sent us these 3 samples that you see here, as well as this limited edition black elkhead stopper. And last night, there were about 8 or 10 of us in the group, and we went over the 3 samples. These samples are all the same product at 3 different proofs, and we were going over the differences. And I was shocked to see how much variance we've found just based on the proof of the whiskey. It's a cool product where they're doing a rum finish and then a ruby port finish on a rye whiskey, which I've seen a lot of ruby port finished rye whiskeys, but I've never seen a rum finish on a rye whiskey, I don't believe. And I will say that there was some stuff at play there that was really interesting that I really enjoyed, and it was just a very cool experience. It was over Zoom, so there were people all over the country doing it, and it was just a really cool experience to do something like that with a distillery that's not just local to us. And I really look forward to doing more of it. And I think that a lot more distilleries have been using groups like this to find what product meets the needs of the consumer, which is great in what we're all calling the failing bourbon market. Everybody thinks everything's going downhill, but I think we've just seen a lot of oversaturation of the market. And programs like this, I think, are a really great way for distilleries to keep putting out great product that people actually want to buy. There's a lot of stuff that just sits on the shelves because people don't want it. And I think what Old Elk has going on here is a great way to figure out what people do want. And it was really interesting to see the different perspectives of different people based on their palates. I've been a part of some store picks, and generally at those store picks, you have one person that ends up kind of herding everybody towards one thing. And you didn't see that at all last night because it was just 10 strangers that were, in some cases, hours and hours apart from each other, just talking about what they thought of the whiskey. And the 3 different proof points all had very strangely different characteristics, despite being the same mash bill with the same finishing. And I'm very excited to see what Old Elk does with this product. And I hope that you guys will support them when it does come out. I mean, Old Elk, they're doing great stuff anyway. And if you have not tried any of their whiskey, you really should. Their cigar cut is some of my favorite stuff. I actually like their cigar cut better than most cigar blends that are out there. And they've done a really great job at doing a craft whiskey, even though I'm fairly certain all their stuff is sourced whiskey that they do their own finishes and their own aging on. And out there in the Rocky Mountains, aging is an interestingly different process than it is here in the South or up in Kentucky. and they have unique character coming out of these barrels that you don't see anywhere else really. And there's a few different Colorado distilleries out there that have gained a lot of traction. I believe you've got Breckenridge and 291 are two of the other big ones. But I'm excited to see Old Elk reaching out to their customer base in this way. And I think a lot of distilleries could do something like this and it would help them. Anyway, thank you all for joining me here in the library tonight. And I'm just going to end it where I usually do. If you can find it, you should buy it.